and East Copperbelt Province brings to you The Lens, a program designed to bring insightful information on economics, mining, education, health, tourism, agriculture, environmental issues, sports, entertainment, current affairs, and many issues affecting the well-being of society. Welcome, viewers on The Lens, coming from Copperbelt Indora Studios. And on today's program, we are discussing football. And I am your host, Tovini Ngombe. And today, we shall be looking at the game that Zambia played against Ivory Coast in Bouake, away in Ivory Coast. And we shall also be looking at today's game, which Zambia will be battling it out against Sierra Leone. And the game is coming on at 21 hours. And this game will be played at Lev Mwanawasa Stadium, right here in Indora. We shall also look at the game that Power Dynamos and Red Arrows played in Kitwe, and we shall also look at the nominations of Barbara Banda on Ballon. And also we shall look at the unfortunate incident of the death of our Hanif Adams. So to discuss this program, I have with me a panel of gentlemen, and I have with me Musonda Chilambwe, and also who is also a soccer analyst. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Auntie.
On the same program, I have Melvin Melek, popularly known as Bebeto. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tovin, and it's good to be back on The Lens.
And I also have Mo Kaumba.
Thank you so much, and it's always great to be here on this panel.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, we shall first start with discussing the game that Zambia played away in Ivory Coast. I'll start with my analyst, Chilambwe. How did you look at the game that Zambia played in Ivory Coast?
Unfortunate for Zambia and fortunate for Cote d'Ivoire. For us, I say unfortunate because we had a bad day on Friday. So most of the soccer fans, they were expecting at least a win or a draw. Now things went to the West. We came out with a 2-0 bashing. Cote d'Ivoire, it has been a difficult hunting ground for Zambian football for some time. So we really need not to kill our boys with this and that. We just hope that today's game, when they face Sierra Leone, they just have to pull up their socks. And I would urge the coach to change his system and to look at the weakness which he had in that first game.
Melvin, let's look at the game. 70 minutes, the entire 70 minutes, Zambia was just playing on its own half.
Yes,
defending. What were they defending when they just started the games?
Yes, Tovin, I think from the start, you look at the tactics that Avram Grant did apply. I think it was all defensive football for Zambia. And when you're playing a good team like Ivory Coast, I think you deserve to be punished just like Zambia was punished. Now, you look at the defense of the Zambian side. I think Coach Avram Grant did use Kabasa Chongo, who was introduced. And for me, I think he had a fair game. And we had our veteran, Stopila Nsunzu. I think Stopila Nsunzu was a little bit slow in that if you look at the game, the goal that was scored by Jean Felipe, I think that was due to Stopila Nsunzu's slowness, because if he was very quick, he would have cleared that goal. Even the second goal that Felipe also did score, I think it was again due to Stopila Nsunzu, who was quite very involved. Even the other gentlemen at the back, I think Zambia were not up to speed in terms of defense. The flank line, obviously you talk of Kennedy Msonda, who is playing for Yanga, did not receive a good supply of the balls because the midfield, I think it wasn't ticking, and that gave Ivory Coast to play around with the ball. You saw how Simon Adingla was able to play around with the ball. You look at the wing that Mpande was orchestrating from. I think Adingra did give him a lot of problems, but Mpande was also very good. It's only that I think Zambia did apply the defensive tactics, and that could not pan out well for Zambia.
Kaumba, how do you look at the game that Zambia played?
I think it was a disappointing outing in Ivory Coast, looking at how our boys fared in that game. Obviously, I'll talk about the tactics that the coach Avram Grant did employ on that particular day. Obviously, the instructions were very clear to say maybe all we needed to do was defend, and I think for the coach, he wasn't really going for a kill, but he wanted just to get a point away. And I think at the end of the day, we saw that the entire 90 minutes, it was one-way traffic. It was Ivory Coast attacking from left, right, and center. And I think for our boys, we couldn't even, I think, make 4 or 5 passes together, good passes. So I think it was really disappointing, but like I think my colleagues here have earlier alluded to, also I think in terms of the substitutions, we saw the coach really did delay to make some of those changes. One of the changes was actually due to the injury, but I think for the Ivory Coast coach, that is a coach who knew what he wanted to do. We could see how he made those changes. And the goal scorer who scored those 2 goals is a person who came from the substitution bench. So I think it's all about the tactics, but it was really disappointing. Nonetheless, it has happened. And I think even when you look at the history between the 2 clubs, I think Zambia in the last, it should be, let me just say, 13 games, they have only managed to win 3 games, and we have recorded 4 draws, and I think the rest of that have been losses. So I think it's really disappointing. Our graph seems to be going down, but we hope for the best in this afternoon's, in this evening's game.
Musonda, most of the Zambians have been complaining about the coach's tactics of not making substitutions on time. And looking at the Ivory Coast game, we saw also delaying to make substitute. Is it lack of proper tactics by the coach, or what's causing these losses? 4 losses in a row.
You know, in a game of football, they call the soccer fan to be the 12th man. Why they call him to be the 12th man? That he is seated in the terraces and is able to read the game and see what is happening before the coach sees where the team has gone wrong. So when the fans cry that no, the coach is not doing this, at times we have to give them credit because they have seen what is happening. The coach is sitting on the same level with the players, but the fans are up there in the terraces seeing what is going on down there. But for the coach, I think tactic-wise, it's not up to the book. Something has to be done by your FA. They just have to look for a new coach who's moving with a modern football. Sorry for me to say this, Avram Grant is outdated for the new dynamics of the game.
Melvin, you also saw the coach for Ivory Coast. Throughout the match, he was on his toes, edging his player. But Avram Grant was actually seated there, just watching the game. And Musa is talking about tactics. Is it as a result of the coach's inability to make quick substitutions or read the game that made us to lose?
Let me agree with what Musa is saying here. I think Avram Grant, he has wrong tactics, more especially that those tactics that he did apply when Zambia took on Ivory Coast in Bouake. You could see, just like you have said, Tovin, you could see that the Ivorian coach was able to make those expected changes, meaning changes for that matter, but the Zambian bench was just ball watching. You saw how Jean-Philippe was introduced in the 73rd minute, managed to slot in a goal, but Zambian bench was just watching. In the 84th minute, he slotted in another goal, the same super sub, Philippe Jean, but the Zambian bench were just watching. So it tells you that indeed, Coach Avram Grant, I think, is not up to speed in terms of leading the game, and like we were the tactics that he did apply. You could see that throughout the game, throughout the 90 minutes, he was able to to defend. And when you are defending to a good team like Ivory Coast, you deserve such punishment. Just like my colleague Mo Kaumba said, if you look at the substitute that he made, he introduced Joseph Sabobo Banda, but it was just 4 minutes at a time. What can a player do in those at a time? And those are the results that you expect to get when you're playing a good team like Ivory Coast. Look at the way Casey Frank, the Ivorian captain, the way he was playing the ball, very at easy, playing around the midfield of the Zambian side. He was able to defend and also move. He's a defender, but he was also to defend and move because our tactical approach of the game was more of defending, and that you cannot even play very well when you are playing to a good team like Ivory Coast. You deserve to be punished just like we were punished. We hope that this evening, this approach in terms of tactical approach of the game, Avram Grant up to speed and ensure that Zambia carries the day when we play Sierra Leone.
Maybe just to chip in on the question that you asked about the coach being seated whilst our opponent's coach was busy giving instructions to the players there. Maybe I could talk about the age of our very own coach. I think it would be very difficult and, of course, too much of asking of him to stand the entire 90 minutes giving instructions. But maybe he could have sent even just his assistant to be standing on the touchline, and where he needs to consult, he can easily go back to the head coach, consult, and come back on the touchline and give instructions. But I think that is something that we didn't really see. Even in most cases, I think you find that sometimes you could be down by 2 goals, but the coach who is leading is standing on the touchline, giving instructions to his players. But I think our coach, that has been the challenge. Maybe we can say age is slowly catching up with him, and he can't manage to stand the 90 minutes. That's why, for me, I feel maybe it's about time that he calls it quit and probably give chance
just
to
to chip in.
I think just to add,
Yes.
to say something on what he has said, I think age should not be the matter here. If we remember Ferguson when he was at Manchester United, he was standing throughout the 90 minutes of the game. We have Carlo Ancelotti at Madrid. He's old as well, but he's able to stand, and he just goes back to consult the technical bench, the guys behind him. The duty of a coach is to stand and give instructions. You know, sometimes when you send in your number 2 or number 3 to go and give the instructions to the boys on the pitch, they don't really sometimes get it that it's you who is giving those instructions. So the moment you stand, then they'll know that we are not performing according to instructions. So the coach being old enough, I don't think I agree with you, my
But
brother.
gentlemen, have you realized that Chicken George Rwandamina, it's rare that you would see Chicken George Rwandamina standing there in the entire 90 minutes, but the person who is usually on the touchline giving instructions is his assistant. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Mr. Toby, just to chip in, what he's saying, like failing to stand on the touchline to give those meaningful instructions, because if a coach is able to stand on the touchline, I will give an example of Heavy Renard, the way he used to coach the Zambia national side. You'll be able to stand on the touchline because psychological mindset, when you give a player, you are standing as a coach on the touchline. The players feel motivated. You know, they are seeing their manager is able to stand and is able to give instructions. Now, if you look at Avram Grant, he's able to sit throughout the 90 minutes, and the players are able to play. And West Steel, when you have a captain, sorry to say that, our captain, Luambo Msona, is not like Frankie Msona, our defender, who is able to give instructions whenever he's playing with the ball. He's able to, you can see that he has good command. But when you have a coach and the captain is also not able to give instructions, then you expect that the mindset in terms of psychology, you find that they will be defeated. They are not motivated. Heverina is a good example. We have seen that before, and we have seen how the Zambia national team were able to play.
Maybe Brother Kaumba, statistically or head-to-head, Zambia has performed better than Ivory Coast. In most of the games we've played, we have lost less games. And it seemed the coach had too much respect for the Ivorians, because he claimed that they have players that are playing in elite leagues in Europe. And look at also in 2012, the Zambia national team, we managed to beat Ivory Coast during the African Cup of Nations, with all their star players in Arsenal, Chelsea, and the other one, and Man City. we had to beat them during the Africa Cup, and it was the games where the Africa Cup was in Gabon, co-hosted by Gabon and the Equatorial Guinea. We managed to beat them. What is wrong now that with the same current team that we have, we seem to have respected Ivory Coast so much, even when we beat them at home last year here?
I think somehow I would want to agree with him, but again disagree with him. I would agree with him in that I think the quality that we have compared to what Ivory Coast has, I think there is a very huge gap and of course difference. But on the other hand, like you have mentioned, I think the tactic, like we have all been saying here, it's about the tactics that we had employed on that particular day. You can't defend the whole 90 minutes. I think then you are more or less like calling trouble on yourself. In football, we say the best way to defend is to attack. I think at some point, if we were giving pressure to the Ivorian defense, maybe they couldn't even have been attacking like they were doing. But we gave them space to do that because of the way we approached that game. We were defending the whole 90 minutes. Even just from the lineup, you could see that I think we had a lot of defensive-minded players. And I think there are some players that you couldn't even see if they were a part and parcel of the game. The likes of, I think, Benson Sakala. You couldn't notice him. Yes. And even when they introduced Cletus Chota Chama, I think he was misplaced. Cletus Chota Chama is a player who, I think, when given the right role, that is in the middle of the park where he does his magic, I think you could see the best of him. But I think even when he was introduced, you could see that he was being put to play in the wing. And from there, you won't see really the best of Cletus Chota Chama. So what am I saying? It's about the tactics and so much respect that we had accorded to the Ivorian. And as a result, that's why we even got punished. Like you mentioned, in 2012, I think even when you look at the quality that we had then compared to what Ivory Coast had, they had far much better quality. But we managed to beat them because of the way we approached the game. And I think it was the hunger that the players had to make sure that they die a little bit for Mother Zambia. I think that was the difference.
Let's look at also the Musonda. We look at the introduction of Gift Mpande. How was the performance of Gift Mpande and also Kavasa Chongo? These, they have not played much for the Zambia national team, but they were given a chance.
Like you said, Gift Mpande coming in and Kavasa Chongo being there. For Kavasa Chongo is not in the new arena. Let me put it the arena. It's not new to that kind of pressure. He's been there before, many years. So we expect a good performance from him. But even on that day, we couldn't take anything away from him because he stood in for Frank Msonda and he performed. So for Gift Mpande, he's just coming up on the scene. We shouldn't put too much pressure on the boy because we are going to disturb him. Otherwise, he's a good player who just needs to be pushed on, motivated, just like Mo had put it. In 2012, we didn't have superstars like our opponents in Cote d'Ivoire. It was the motivation which was coming from the coach which pushed them on to go as far as the final and be able to win the tournament. As of now, it seems like there's that disjointed communication in the team between the coach and the players. It's like a father in the house is not giving the children proper information, what is needed to be done and what is needed not to be done. Even for a school to be producing good results, the administration should be there on top of things. So the coach, he needs to up his game, otherwise we are going nowhere. If we lose today's game, then we are done.
Melvin, we saw the introduction of Kingston Mutandwa, but still thinking that they could not help the situation.
It wasn't fair, Tobin, because that's like we have been saying that Coach Avram Grant takes a little bit of time to make those meaningful changes because of his tactics. That game we played against Ivory Coast in Bouaki, it is because Avram Grant had already planned that they had to defend throughout the 90 minutes. And this is the reason why even making those changes, like Kobino Chisala and also Kingston Mutanda. For me, I think Kingston Mutanda was supposed to be introduced even in the first half because we realized that Kennedy Musonda was not able to even make a shot at goal. So there was need that Coach Avram Grant was supposed to bring in Kingston Mutanda. After all, if you look at the way Kingston Mutanda does play with the ball, I think he's able, he has got that physique, he's able to run with the ball and he's able to shoot. So for me, I think Avram Grant did make that change when it was too late. Look at the similar situation that he did. He introduced Joseph Sabobo Banda when it was too late. So I think Avram Grant, you need to be up to speed in making those changes, because if we continue at that, at that pace, I think Zambia is not going anywhere, because I think our coach is also killing the players. The players, I think we have a little bit of material on the substitute bench, but I think the coach is not making those changes, more especially on time.
Kawamba, let's look at another player, Klings Kangwa. And Klings Kangwa, we had Sunzu, the landlord, their performance, also Benson Sakala. I couldn't see much of them. Maybe I was watching a different game.
No, I think you are right. Like I earlier alluded to, Benson Sakala was nowhere in that game. And talking about Sunzu, maybe we can say age is equally slowly catching up with him, because I think the Sunzu that we saw in the 2012 and the Sunzu that we are seeing now, I think they are totally different. Like my colleagues earlier said, you could see, like I'll talk about the first game, the first goal that we conceded. Sunzu was backtracking, and in the process, he gave chance to the player who scored that goal. I think you could see that he had enough time to stop the ball, to even turn and shoot at goal. And I think in that, that was where our weakness was, Sunzu. And talking about Klings Kangwa, I don't know, there are just some players I think who have won some favors, I think who are highly favored, because I think for me, even Klings Kangwa was nowhere in that game, apart from the free kick that we saw, which he took. But I think the whole 90 minutes, Klings Kangwa was out of the game. That's why I was expecting the coach even just to make a change. If a player is tired, if one player is not ticking, you need to make a change. And probably that's where trust comes in. Maybe the coach didn't trust the players that he had on the substitution bench. That's why it was very difficult for him to make a change. But again, it's a question of why would you go with players that you don't trust, even when things are tough? Because the reason why we go with players on the substitution bench is because when you see that other players are not ticking or other players get tired, you need to make a meaningful change that will be able to bring positive impact to the team. Like I talked about the Ivory Coast coach, because he read the game and he was able to see what was happening, and he did make that change, which at the end of the day did give them a positive result. So I think that's what we expected from the coach, because we had so many passengers in that game, but unfortunately the coach couldn't read the game and he couldn't even make substitutions on time. Very unfortunate.
Just to add on what my colleague has said.
Yes.
You know, the coach, when he's seated there or when he's standing on the bench, he's supposed to read the game. The Ivorian coach, he saw that if I continue with the same players on the pitch, then we are headed for a draw. He knew that Zambia was not going to score. So the moment he saw that Zambia was not going to score, let me introduce somebody who is going to hustle their defense. That's why I introduced that player who happened to be a game changer. If there are certain players, you keep them on the bench for a purpose, so that at the end of the day, they will give you the desired results. That's what happened to Cote d'Ivoire. Zambia, I don't think our coach was expecting any
positive result.
Yes, any positive result. No, it wasn't, because the midfield was not even supplying, not even a single ball to Kennedy Musonda. Most of the people are saying, no, Kennedy Musonda should not have been in that starting lineup. It's not that he's a bad player. It's the system which put him in an awkward situation. Whoever we are going to put there, even if we're going to get Haaland, Rick Banda, Mo Salah, we put them there. With our midfield, they won't even nick in a goal. So all we need is Triple C when he's there. Cletus Chotachama, when he's there, he's supposed to be in the mid of the pitch, not on the right side or the left side of the midfield, no, in the mid of the pitch, so that he's doing the distribution. Kemuka is back in the team, which I'm sure it's going to make things easier for Cletus to operate.
Well, viewers, you are watching The Lens coming from Copper Belt in Ndora Studios, and on my panel I have Musonda Chilambwe, who is a soccer analyst, and I have Melvin Melek, who is a soccer analyst also, and also I have Mo Kaumba, our soccer analysts. They are all based here in Ndora, and we are talking football. And right now, let's zero in, gentlemen, on the game which Zambia is playing tonight at 21 hours, Zambia versus Sierra Leone. And before we look at that game, let's look at the views of Avram Grant concerning today's game. Let's watch a bit.
First, it's good to go back home, to come back home. This is really home. The supporters was fantastic in all the games that we played here. We lost one, but the others we won, and we won because of the supporters. 2 games we was 1-0 down and 2-1 down, and they push us until we won the game. And that's what I said. The supporter is the 12 players. Here it's the 12 and the 13. So I'm really happy to be back home. Our target is to qualify the second time in a row after a long time to African, and this is our target. And for to achieve this target, we need to take points and we need to win the next game. We started well by the performance, but we lost against a very good team. But the players show a lot of commitment, a lot of fight spirit, which I was very happy from this. But the game tomorrow will be a different game against a good team. But our target is the same, to win this game and to qualify the second time to African.
Yes, I'm sure you have heard what Avram Grant has said. And he's saying that the target is to qualify to Africa Cup despite losing the first game. Kaumba, do you agree with him?
I think, yeah, we still have a chance to make it to the Africa Cup. What is important right now is just to play our cards right. He said the goal is to qualify, yes, but I think with a different approach to what we saw last time. And I think he also mentioned about the important role that the fans will be able to play in tonight's game. I think yes. I think in most cases, Zambia, especially when they are at home, they get the positivity and of course the support from the fans who are the 12th player. I think also gives them the impetus to probably go forward and make sure that they record a positive result. But I think in this evening's game, like I mentioned, I expect the coach, I think, to make a few changes, especially with the tactics. I don't think Sierra Leone is a team that should be able to give us headaches to collect maximum points. We just need to make sure that we go all flat out in attack and make sure that we beat them, even just with, I think, a shouting scoreline of at least not less than 3 goals if we can manage to put in more than 3 goals in the back of the net. I expect the coach probably to make a few changes. It's good that we had the calling of Ricky Banda back to the team. We also have Benedict Chepeshi, who has been called to the team, not forgetting Kelvin Mbangakampamba, who has equally been included in the team. So I expect him to give Kelvin Mbangakampamba a chance probably to be in the wing, and Cletus Chotachama probably to do the donkey work in the middle of the pack and to supply the strikers with the ball. Yes, we saw what Miguel Changachaiwa was able to do, but I think it's support that he needed, and I expect the coach to do that in this evening's game. Otherwise, we can only wish the team all the very best. But of course, with what had happened last time in Ivory Coast, probably that could have an impact on this evening's attendance, because the fans now are thinking maybe even this evening we are going to witness a disaster. But for me, I don't think Sierra Leone is a team that will be able to give us that. And of course, with the effect of or the time also coming in, because the game will be at 21 hours. So that simply means, I think, and looking at the day, it will be on a Tuesday, and of course the following day we have got people coming back, going to their respective workplaces, and others going to school, that is for the school-going children. So we just hope to have, I think, a big and huge number of fans coming to the stadium this evening.
Indeed. Melvin, how do you look at this game for today?
Yes, Tobin.
And what do you want Avram Grant to apply to ensure that we get maximum points this time now?
In the first place, no hope is lost for Zambia. I think Zambia has still got a realistic chance to be back on track, more especially that he'll be playing at home at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. You know, the 12th man, the supporters, I think, will be able to rally behind the team. I think with the inclusion of Kelvin Kampamba, I think we'll be able to see how Zambia will pan out, more especially in the middle of the park. Kelvin Kampamba is able to make those crosses. There's Chota Chama, who is able to orchestrate very well on the middle, is proper number 8. If he'll be able to supply the balls to either Ricky Banda or even Kennedy Msonda, who will be playing a number 9 to score those goals. So I think Zambia stand a chance, and we can only wish soccer fans to turn out in numbers at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium so that Zambia is able to carry the day. Remember, Sierra Leone they drew against Chad. That was 1-1 in Monrovia. So we expect that Zambia will be able to turn around the result that they did post in Bouake, Ivory Coast, and be able to win this game. So for me, I think being passionate about Zambian football, and especially that you'll be playing at home, I expect that Zambia will be able to carry the day to win.
Pamuzo, Sierra Leone is a team we have been beating in the past. Sometimes we've been bashing them 4-0. And of course, football has evolved, and that was a long time during the days of Kanu Shabwari. And now we are meeting them again at the showpiece of the African national, Africa nations competition. And we are meeting them at home. And the next time when we meet them again, they won't be at home, they will be in Monrovia. Not their own home ground, because they have no proper stadium. So are we having advantage of it, and knowing also that they drew their game, as Melvin said, they drew their home game?
I'm happy you've said that the game has evolved, which is true. Nowadays there's no underdog in football. So we should be prepared for a stern opposition. But with all cards put well, we can get the 3 points which is needed. No hope is lost. We just have to be there for them. We support them. We give them the required support. Otherwise, if we go down this game, then I would say we are out. But I would give it to Zambia to carry the day this evening. Let not the time and the result which happened, yes. Let not that affect the attendance of the supporters. I know people will be reporting for work tomorrow, but they just have to be there for the boys. And I know there are supporters who are coming from Lusaka to come and Lusaka and all parts of Zambia to come and give the moral support which is needed. You know, even if we go down at some point, but we need to lift ourselves up. This is the game of football. You don't win always, you don't lose always. But you just have to keep on pushing until you reach the intended goal.
Indeed. Let's also look at the local scene. We had Power Dynamos versus Red Arrows, and that game ended 0-0. Is it, Melvin, is it because Ricky Banda was not in the squad for Red Arrows, that's why they recorded a 0-0, because he has been on fire of late?
Yes, Tobin. If you look at that game, obviously it was played at Arthur Davis Stadium. Okay, and for me, I think it is. I think the Power Dynamos, the period that they are going through, I think they haven't posted good result. I think they have recorded so many draws since the start of the 2024-2025 league season. So for me, I think Coach Oswald Mourinho Mutapa has to, just to speed up, must be on speed so that we see Power Dynamos starting recording good result. For Red Arrows, I think it was expected. I thought maybe Red Arrows would carry the day at Arthur Davis Stadium, but I think Oswald Mutapa did try to apply his tactics, and we saw Power Dynamos failing to utilize those chances, and the game ended in a stalemate. So it is entirely up to Coach Oswald Mutapa, because if you look at the way Power Dynamos are currently playing, it's not pleasing enough, more especially of the coach of Mourinho Mutapa's caliber. It's not adding up to speed. So hope Oswald Mutapa will be able to jack up a little bit so that Power will be able to post good results. Remember, soccer fans for Power Dynamos are just already started, crying foul that Power is not posting good results, and they are calling for Oswald Mutapa to improve a little bit so that they may start recording wins for Power.
Kaumba, Power 90 is also my team. And I was also disappointed. We wanted to win, especially when we were playing at home. How do you look at that game as well?
It was a fully packed Arthur Davis Stadium, and I think we saw quite a good number of Zambian soccer fans trekking to Arthur Davis to support their respective teams. But I think it was a crash of the giants. You can't really say Power Dynamos or Red Arrows had it easy to record a positive result, because I think these are two giants that met, and I think but I think coming to the game, I'll talk about, let me start with Power Dynamos. I think maybe the services of the young Joshua Budo Mutale and Godfrey Ngwenya probably we can say are being missed, because these are two players I think who had a lot of impact in that Power Dynamos team, especially last season. But now that these two players are no longer with Power Dynamos, we could see how they are really struggling, like Mr. Meleka said here. Power Dynamos, I think, have not started on a high. They seem to be blowing warm and cold. We don't even, if you are a Power Dynamo supporter, you don't even know the result that you are going to post on that particular day, because the team hasn't really been consistent. But when you talk about Red Arrows, I think Red Arrows have equally been very exceptional. We've seen how they have been posting good results starting from the time when we were at the off-season break. They were busy playing high-profile games, and even when the league started, even I think in the CAF Champions League, we saw what they have been able to do. They have qualified to the next round. I think even in the league, they have started really on a very high. And yes, there were rumors that Power Dynamos fans were celebrating the fact that Ricky Banda was called to the national team, because they knew to say Red Arrows were going to play this game without their star player in Ricky Banda. But nonetheless, I think they had enough arsenals in their squad, and let me just say it was just a tough game for the two teams. Very few chances were created, because I think both teams were tactically disciplined, and they knew what they wanted to achieve at the end of the day. Otherwise, I think it was a good game, and it was a fair result for these two teams.
Mamuzo, let's look at also our envoys. Barbara Banda, she has been nominated for Baron. And it's the first time a Zambian player has been nominated on such high level. And maybe we are hoping maybe she can even get it. But not only Banda, even our own neighbor, Chawinga from Malawi national team. How do you look at that nomination for Barbara Banda and Chawinga?
It's good for women's football in the southern part of Africa, because competition is increasing by every game in the women's football. So for them to reach that level and be nominated for the Ballon d'Or, I would give them kudos, because it's not easy. There are very high-profile players out there who are performing for their highly sponsored teams. So for Barbara Banda and Chawinga, I say good luck. But for our own Barbara Banda, let's hope she scoops it, and to add value to our women's football. And for Barbara Banda to be there, she's not the only, she's been supported by the other members of the team. Yes, Barbara Banda has carried our national team on her shoulders, but she's not been alone. She's a friend. So the moment she scoops that, she has to thank them as well. Because again, Chawinga, she's playing in the Champions League in Europe. We need not to underrate her. She's a good player as well. She's been there on a high level for some time.
Yeah, indeed, Chawinga, Melvin, she is now topping in USA. She has now 15 goals against Barbara Banda, who has 12 goals. Of course, Chawinga has played more games than Barbara Banda. How do you look at the nomination for both of the two ladies?
Yes, Tobin, in the first place, I think kudos to the two Southern African representatives. I think they have done very well. You agree with me that Barbara Banda and Chawinga, they are the only so African representatives, meaning that in our case, Barbara Banda, I think she has done very well. You look at the way she played during the ended Olympics. She managed to bang in 4 goals. You look at the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. Again, she managed to post in a hat-trick. That tells you a lot that I think Barbara Banda she has been on song. She has been scoring goals for fun. You look at the team that she's playing for her professional football, Orlando Pride. I think at one time she was topping. I think she was on 12 goals. Chawinga, they were at par with Chawinga on 12 goals each. But then Chawinga obviously she has increased on goal tally simply because maybe Barbara Banda trying to settle down after coming from playing the Olympics, representing the Copa Queens, the recent ended Olympics. So for me, I think Barbara Banda really deserved, if I'm to give a vote, I think I would give it to Barbara Banda because I think she has done it for Zambia. She has represented Zambia on a very huge stage, and she really deserved it. Chawinga also, just like Mr. Chilambwe said here, I think she also has what it takes. You know, she has played in the Champions League, and you could see that she has been banging goals. So the two are good to go in as far as representing Africa is concerned. So only the good player or the best player will be able to be declared winner of the Ballon d'Or. But I give it to Barbara Banda.
Kaumba, who do you give it?
I think there are so many considerations when awarding this Ballon d'Or. Firstly, I think I'll talk about the achievements. Barbara Banda has been at the Olympics. He has played at the World Cup, and I think even with her club where she is now, Orlando Pride, I think she has really been a very, very good addition in terms of the number of goals that she has scored that side. Chawinga equally, I think she has really been good. She's really been exceptional. She has helped her club to be where they are today. But I think when you talk about the achievements, you can easily give it to Barbara Banda because, like I've mentioned, I think Chawinga has never been to the Olympics. Chawinga has never played the World Cup, but I think our very own Barbara Banda has broken history, and he has made history, and he has broken so many records. So I think with that in mind, it's very easy to say Barbara Banda should be able to scoop this one, but I think it's really tight because even Chawinga, I think she has really been exceptional. But all we can say is may the best player scoop this one. But I think just being nominated itself, I think, is an achievement on its own because this is the first time that we are seeing, especially a Zambian being nominated for such awards. So I think this should be a motivation, I think, even to the other players who are still coming in to say, even them, if they can be dedicated, committed, and of course show that passion, they can equally be one day even maybe surpass the records that Barbara Banda has posted this far.
Well, gentlemen, on a sad note, the soccer fraternity is mourning the death of Hanif Adams, who was put to rest. And Vamuzo, how do you remember Hanif Adams?
Thank you so much for that question. I give respect to that man. I've said I give respect to that man because He formed the Lusaka Dynamos, and he took them to the level whereby the team was competing with the big boys in the Zambian league. So it's not easy. If most of the administrators in Zambian soccer had the heart that which Adams had, I don't think Zambian football could be struggling to this level where it is. We need such kind of people in football administration, because Adams committed his life and his everything to football. So may his soul rest in peace, and let not that team go down because the founder has left us.
Indeed. Melvin, how do you remember Hanif Adam?
Yes, in the first place, Tovin, it's quite a sad situation to lose a football administrator in the name of Hanif Adams. You can not talk of Lusaka Dynamos Football Club without mentioning Hanif Adams. He has been a mentor. He has mentored the likes of Keith Mwemba, the proprietor of Muza FC. I think you have even seen how Muza is able to to play football, because according to the proprietor, Keith Mwemba, he's saying that he has been mentored by the late Hanif Adams. So it tells you a lot that I think he has contributed greatly for Zambian football. And to lose him, I think it's, posting sad news for Mother Zambia. So we can only wish that the family, to remain steadfast as they mourn Hanif Adams. I think he has been a very good soccer administrator in Zambian football.
Kaumba, how do you remember Hanif Adam as well?
I think you can't talk about Zambian football without mentioning Hanif Adams. I think his contribution has really been seen in, like my colleagues here have said, Lusaka Dynamos, and now the elite ladies. I think he is one player who has mentored so many football administrators, and he has helped so many players to be where they are right now. And I think his contribution cannot go unnoticed. This is one person who was very, very passionate about Zambian football. His commitment and dedication to the game, I think, is one thing that we cannot go without talking about. Therefore, I think his loss is very sudden, and I think we just hope, like the coach Muzo said, after his death, the people who will be able to manage Lusaka Dynamos, I think, should be able to be strong, and of course have the heart that Hanif Adams has to make sure that Zambian football continues to grow. And we hope this will be able to be done in good faith. Otherwise, I think it's a very sad loss for the nation.
Indeed, a sad loss. Well, viewers, we are about to come to the end of our program, but maybe before we end, Musonda, your last words and also your prediction of today's game between Zambia and Sierra Leone.
My appeal is to the soccer fans to turn out in numbers despite the time which the game is starting, which is 21 hours. I know it's an awkward time for Zambian setup, but we just have to be there to give the support to the boys. And my prediction, I would give it to 3-0 to Zambia.
Melvin, your last words and predictions.
Obviously, Tovin, I expect Zambia this time around to turn the tables. We expect that Zambia will outgo guns blazing. It's more especially that to be playing at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. For me, I think I'll give it 4-0 to Zambia. It will remind me the heydays in 1996 Nations Cup when Kalusha Vodia scored that hat-trick. So we expect Zambia to post those more goals. So 4-0 for Zambia.
Kaumba, your last words as well.
It's the positivity from the gents that that I think I like in the studio. I think my last words to the soccer fans is I think it is during this time when the boys really needs our support, and we hope we can have as many fans as possible, because the fans are the 12th player in this game. So we need the 12th player to be there to cheer the team and to motivate them, to give them inspiration to make sure that they post a very good result. Otherwise, I think I'm not going to give my predictions. Rather, I would just say Zambia is going to carry the day. But by how many goals, I'm not going to mention that.
Well, thank you, viewers. And I'm sure you have heard for yourself. You are all invited to come and watch the game at Lev Mwanawa Stadium, taking place at 21 hours. And before we end our program, I'd like to introduce my panelists once more. On my panelists, I had Mo Kaumba, a soccer analyst, right here in Ndola. And I also had Melvin Melek, a soccer analyst also, and Musonda Chilambwe, our own soccer analyst right here in Ndola on the Copper Belt. Well, and I have been your host, Tovini Ngombe. We have been discussing about sports, especially today's game, which is taking place at 21 hours at Lev Mwanawasa. Please, you are all invited to come and cheer the boys so that we give them the morale to boost their chances of qualifying to the Africa Cup Nations, which in the past we have missed. It's now our time to ensure that we shine again on the continental stage. And together with my production team in the background, I'm saying goodbye and see you next time on The Les.